Hello everybody, how's it going? I'm the Meister and welcome back to the greater Timbukton region. It's been a while, guys. It's been about a month since I've last uploaded, and yeah, I've just been super busy these past couple of weeks, and I haven't had enough time to sort of edit everything together and to get all of my episodes up and running. But in this episode, guys, I can confidently say that we are finally starting the actual City of Timbukton, so I'm super excited to present that to you guys. I've been waiting to start the actual city forever now, ever since I've started to build Timbukton, or to build Burton rather. I've always been excited to sort of, make the jump onto the actual Timbukton Peninsula and to start building the actual City of Timbukton. So I'm super happy to begin this huge project. So in this little corner right here of the map, where I'm building the bridge, I've always envisioned there being some sort of plant, whether it be a power plant or some sort of factory, just some sort of big industrial buildings in this corner of the map here. So what I've decided on doing, whenever you're building a city without any mods or if without any modification to the game whatsoever, the first thing that you normally would do is to plop down a power plant. All right, so to stick with the old City Skylines theme, I decided to do just that and to start off by plopping a large power plant that would feed power, or at least for now, feed enough power into the City of Timbukton, because downtown is going to be pretty close to here. So there's going to be a lot of housing, some high rises, which require a lot of power. So with that being said, the first thing I'm going to get started on doing is building this interchange right here that will be the main link point for Burton and downtown Timbukton, and also the power plant and the little industrial area that'll be around it. So this is a very important interchange in the city, and I've remodeled it like probably 4 or 5 times by the time I got this footage right here. So I wasn't quite decided on going for like maybe a trumpet interchange or a Y interchange or whatever the case may be. But I decided on going the trumpet interchange route just because it's quite compact here. And generally when you're near downtowns in older cities, you'll get like these sort of compact interchanges. And I thought a trumpet interchange would have been best in this case. Plus, if we look at how the city looked like in SimCity 4, you'll notice that this was a trumpet interchange as well. You're probably wondering what pushed me to jump onto Timbukton and start that city right away when I told you guys that the last episode was going to be featured on an industrial area in Burton. Well, as soon as City Skylines Industries was released, I jumped on to that project and I started to play around with the different factories and different plants and things that you can build. And it was super fun. I enjoyed it. I'm still loving the expansion pack as we speak, and I plan on using that expansion pack throughout the series. We're gonna build some furniture plants. I'm thinking about maybe doing some sort of oil refinery. We'll see. But anyways, I'm loving the pack so far. And in the last episode that I was gonna do, I actually started to build a what was it now? I think it was a furniture plant. Anyways, I started to build this factory and this industries area around Burton. And as I was progressing through it, I wasn't quite liking the way that everything was falling into place. And I didn't really find any inspiration flowing through. And I just sort of got bored of the area. So I decided to take a break on Burton as it's nearing completion, actually. I only have a couple more residential areas to go, plus that industries area. So I decided to put that on hold for now and jump on over to Timbukton and sort of start building an industries area in there, just to serve as a little bit of inspiration, just because I already had an idea what this area was going to look like. So I figured, why not just start building it, and maybe I'll get some ideas for finishing Burton later on. So that is the reason for this episode, actually. This episode originally wasn't going to come until like maybe 3 or 4 episodes in the future, had I not taken a break from Burton. All right, so moving on. This interchange right here, this Y interchange, is a vital connection a little bit further down on this highway. So with the Trumpet interchange being done, I decided to go ahead and move on to this interchange right away. So this interchange connects another vital connection to Burton, this bridge right here, and I wanted to create the infrastructure necessary to handle a high volume of traffic that's going to be flowing through here. So this Y interchange probably will fit the bill, hopefully. Sometimes it's a guessing game when building these kind of things, how well they're going to work in the game once traffic starts flowing. But anyways, I think it'll do pretty good. So the inspiration behind this comes from in City Skylines. So the inspiration behind this interchange comes from a little bit of SimCity 4. There was an interchange in the SimCity 4 version of Timbukton with this bridge right here. It wasn't a Y interchange though, it was a regular diamond interchange using the network add-on mod back in those days. So I decided to change things up a little bit here and create a Y interchange, and this comes from an interchange in Halifax, which is a little bit similar to this, but on a much smaller scale. The interchange in Halifax seems to be a little bit more compact than what I'm building right here, as in City Skylines it can be quite challenging to build very tight corners very effectively. So I think what I've built here is pretty neat. It's pretty unique, honestly. I mean, I've never built anything like this, so I hope it serves its purpose, because it was a little bit of a challenge to build. I've had to remodel it like 3 or 4 times as well to get everything just perfect. Now, finally starting on the actual plant. This took quite a bit of planning, actually. So upon starting up the game, it had been a couple of weeks since I've actually fired up the game and started to build anything. And it had been almost a year probably since I haven't added a power plant to my asset list. And I was finding that my selection was quite limited and I needed to upgrade what I had available to me. So I decided to go exploring on the workshop, and to my surprise, there is quite a limit of how many power plants, or how many good quality power plants there are on the workshop. Now, I don't want to sound condescending to anybody here, because I know a lot of creators work very hard for what they create, but for this setting here, I didn't find like there was any power plants that fit this area very well. So I happened to explore to maybe like the 20th or 30th page of the workshop, where I found this huge power plant right here, and the little smaller power plant, or the older part of this power plant, I found, I forget exactly where on the workshop, but I had to do quite a bit of digging nonetheless to find a good power plant that was somewhat compact and that would look good in this type of setting. So far I think there's like 3 or 4 power plants that I plopped down in this area. Plus a temporary nuclear power plant in the corner of the map somewhere. I don't even remember where I put it. But anyways, this is going to be one of the larger power plants in the area, and I'm not really sure if it'll be big enough to handle future needs once the entire city is all built up, but nonetheless, this is one of the biggest power plants in the area. And if I need another one in the future, then we'll just plop it somewhere in the outskirts of town. So this power plant, of course, is an oil power plant, and it expands a little bit further than what you see right here. So this road that I'm plopping down will house or will be a little access road bringing you to some huge oil silos or oil tanks or whatever you want to call them, where the oil reserves will be stored for the power plant. And you know, it's quite extensive. It's a pretty big project, and the more that I was building it, the more ideas that I was getting, and the bigger that I wanted the project to be. So I tried to make everything as not necessarily realistic, but I wanted everything to look functional, to have everything have a purpose. So I'm plopping down some pipes and everything here, making everything connected. And at the time, I didn't necessarily know what I was doing, nor do I know necessarily how power plants work, especially not oil power plants. So I was just sort of plopping down some pipes and hoping that everything looks pretty realistic. But that's what I usually do while playing the game anyways. So as long as it looks neat at the end, that's all I really care about. So with all the oil reserves and everything being plopped down, what I'm going to do now is plop down an oil transfer pipe to a ship is the best way for me to explain it. So I did quite a bit of exploring with the Find It mod, and I found these, I'm not even sure what they are, but I decided to sort of pretend that it was this oil transfer sort of pipe onto where a ship would go to deliver oil to the power plant. So as I'm building these creations, I do quite a bit of exploring on Google Maps, and I try to focus my attention to cities near me, such as Halifax, which Timbukton is mostly based on, Portland, Maine, St. John, New Brunswick. So they're all port cities, right? So a lot of inspiration comes from these towns. And I noticed that in Halifax, and I think St. John as well, they have like these oil transfer stations where ships can just park right up to the refineries or power plants or whatever building they were, and they can pump oil directly into those facilities without actually having to, you know, dock somewhere. And so this obviously makes it a lot easier for ships to simply come into the port and deliver their oil directly to the power plant. Instead of having it shipped by train and you know, go through 10 different loops to get to its final destination. So for this build, I decided to add as much detail as I thought was reasonable. I don't like to go overboard because first it adds up to my prop limit, and with this being such a huge project, I always worry about hitting the limit. So I decided to make it reasonably detailed to the point where, you know, it looks like it was done properly and everything is sort of into place. And for the area to look, you know, a little bit grimy, looked like it's got some age to it. So doing that, I've added a lot of detail, little decals, and some plants and bushes and stuff all around the area. So. But nonetheless, it wasn't the most extensive project ever, but it was a super fun challenge to undertake, as I've never really added this much detail to a power plant before, and it's a lot of fun. And I think it's a good way to start off the actual city of Timbukton. You know, with this being built right here, after I was done building this, I jumped right into downtown, starting to plop down some high rises and all sorts of stuff. So, we're pretty much approaching the end of the episode already. It was quite a short episode, about 20 minutes long, so it's not too bad. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Also, forgive me for the delay in posting episodes. I'm super busy, and I'll go into a little bit more detail in that in the next episode on some side projects I'm working on. Not necessarily related to City Skylines, but it will affect the series in some way. So I'll get into that next episode, guys. But if you like this episode, please give it a thumbs up. Also, subscribe to the channel for much more content on the way. So as usual, stay till the end, guys, because there's some pretty awesome cinematics coming up. And until the next episode, guys, please take care.